Hello, welcome to perimenopausal athletes and beyond, experts across so many things. Sleep is our topic today, which is, you know what, that is across so many things, right? So welcome to Maša Nobilo. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
We are so excited to finally get to this interview because it is people are becoming like, oh, this sleep thing, right? It kind of impacts absolutely every aspect of our lives. And I am so thrilled to have you join us because, we hear about, I'm just going to go on just a little bit longer, just hold on. Sure. So we can go and point to, blue light, and we can point to, so many different things that we hear over and over and over again. And what I'm so excited to hear from you on is the other way of doing this, or new ways of thinking about it. And that's what you bring. And that's your expertise. So welcome to the masterclass series.
Thank you so much. It's a pure pleasure to be here and to have this conversation with you.
Oh, first of all, let's just get into a little bit of, how you came to this and some of the work that you've done to become an expert. So first I wanted to say you're a certified embodied facilitator. What does that actually mean?
I know, it's a funny name. So I'm a certified embodiment facilitator, which is basically a course, a year-long course that I'm now a trainer on and that I did in 2017. And in its essence, it is a life coaching course. However, instead of teaching only methods of talk coaching like this, it also teaches many somatic methods, so that in the coaching session, we don't just talk, but we use the body as a whole to work on whatever issue is at hand.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So you can imagine, instead of just talking about an issue and keeping it cerebral, we speak to where is it located in the body? Where is tension located? How can we release it? Very, very important things to bring this online as well, not just the head.
It's so important. We were taught in another discussion we had as a speaker, Jody Silverman, we talked about this, for athletes, we really feel things in our bodies, and we love being athlete because we're so connected to the movement, connected to the feeling of being in our body. And, in perimenopause and beyond, sometimes that we're thrown off because we don't have that like it's changing. Our understanding and our relationship with body is changing so much. And so that's absolutely fascinating. And you bring that into your expertise of sleep as well.
Absolutely. As far as sleep is concerned, a lot of the issues that people have with sleep are psychological. So of course there is sleep hygiene that needs to be looked at, but more often than not, people's problem with insomnia, with sleep disturbances has to do mostly with the issues that they carry from their wakeful state into their sleep. So this is what I help people work on, all of their daily issues that they bring literally to bed with them.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, and we're going to get into some real specifics on that, but let's talk a little bit more about what else you're bringing into this expertise. So I'm going to say this incorrectly, the Feldenkrais. You're a Feldenkrais practitioner.
Yes, the Feldenkrais method is a method of learning through movement. And this is something that has been developed in the 70s, and it's actually quite big in America and in Canada as well. And it's a method let's say it like this, it's a set of classes that offers very slow, gentle, subtle movements. And the reason why they're so helpful is precisely because they're subtle. The more the subtlety, the more we are able to sense the differences in movement, in breath, in the details of how we move. But there is a very fascinating consequence of this method, which is one, you learn very well about your own body awareness. And two, it relaxes the nervous system because it's so gentle and so the staple of it is that the movements are always within your range of comfort.
Yeah.
And I bring this to my sleep coaching because I find that it has such a soothing effect on the nervous system, and it primes the body for a good rest.
Oh, and we are going to get into one of these
Yes.
specific things by the end of the interviews, which I'm super
Absolutely.
excited about. Okay, so now we know you're bringing into these different modes and techniques. And why did you choose like sleep coaching? Like, how did you come to it, and honing in on that?
Well, me, myself, I'm a recovering insomniac. So whenever I find myself in a stressful situation, the first thing that goes out the window is sleep. So I always, whenever there's a bit of anxiety, I find myself tossing and turning in the middle of the night. And this has been an issue that has been in my life since I've been a teenager, but I only really started to solve it once I started to practice and then work with the Feldenkrais method. And once I started to look into my own psychology through embodiment facilitation. And when I started to be a self-employed coach, I thought, okay, yes, I can work with people on many different topics, but what am I passionate about and what do I know viscerally? And that's sleep, because I struggle with sleep myself, and I know the inside outs of the frustration of it.
Yeah, it really does. I think that's true for so many coaches. I know for myself, it is absolutely, I'm a coach of the 4 elements: mindset, nutrition, training, and recovery, because it was where I fell off so badly. I had to discover a whole new way of doing it in, in my athletic journey. So, okay. Now, one more thing that I want to ask before we get into, more of the nitty gritty, and that is you've created this practice. Can you just tell us a little bit about like the general components of the sleep, is that how I would say it, the sleep practice, or how to develop?
I call it sleep coaching, because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
So there are 3 main elements to sleep coaching when people work with me, and it will depend very much on them which one we focus on in a given session. But the first element is helping people, giving people, I call them emergency measures. So these are very short and simple exercises, movement and breath exercises that people can practice during the day, but they can also use them very easily during the night in bed without doing too much movement, so that they ease their nervous system.
Okay.
And this is really important to start with this, so that they have a tool that can help them feel empowered when they find themselves not sleeping.
Yeah.
We all know that when we don't sleep, the following day, we don't really have enough willpower to do any big work on ourselves. So those are the emergency measures.
Yeah.
And then in the sleep coaching itself, I also work in 2 very important things. One is helping people find sustainable ways to build healthy habits in their day. Because we all know what we need to do. We all know that we need to meditate, that we need to stop looking at our phone at 10 p.m. But there are reasons why we don't do it. One of them is that often we don't know what we need to do or how to introduce habits into our day. And the second is people often don't connect to the bigger purpose of why they want to better their life. So I help people figure out sustainable ways to build a habit, which I can tell you a little bit more about, and to figure out their why, their higher purpose.
Okay, so let's get into it. That is really interesting, and I'm really excited about that. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna ask you is, you just mentioned this. How do you structure your day to improve your sleep? I think that's a bit of a, we are really prone to wanting to say, okay, now 3 hours before you want to actually sleep, you need to start slowing down, have your last meal, turn, lights down, quiet, is your room cool? Okay, got it. Okay. So you're not talking about that.
No. Those are things that fall under the category of sleep hygiene. And of course we can talk about them, but these are things that everybody can easily find online. And especially by reading the book of Matthew Walker called Why We Sleep. An incredibly important book that I think everybody should read.
Right.
But more so, it's about how to figure out what are the habits that we want to try to introduce into our life to see if they fit into our life and if they are beneficial, and how to make them stick for at least 21 days so that we see some benefits from it.
Right. Okay.
And there are several tricks that I use in the coaching sessions, but there's one really fun one, which is called the habit sandwich. And let me give you an example. So often people, when they want to introduce, for example, meditation into their day, they start off big. You know, they wake up in the morning, they set their alarm, they wake up, and then they attempt to sit for 15 minutes, trying to meditate. Who knows what goes on in the head? However, very often after 3 days, this habit goes out the window.
Right.
And the reason it doesn't stick is that, first of all, it was too big of a chunk to start with. Going from nothing to 15 minutes seems like, it's not a big step.
Yeah.
It's a huge step.
Yeah.
Huge. I don't know if you have examples from your own life where you've tried to introduce something and it just doesn't stick.
No, but we had a conversation with Tanya Dalton, who, she actually figured out that she had to start with 1 minute of meditation. And then she actually did it. And now she does meditation sometimes twice a day for 10, which to me just seems like a hero's journey. So
exactly. That's such a perfect example. So 1 minute seems like too little, 15 minutes is way too much, but 1 minute is perfect to start with.
Right.
So step one is cutting down the desired habit into more manageable chunks.
Yeah.
And so here comes the habit sandwich. The trick is to place the habit that we want to introduce into our day between a neutral habit that we already do in our day that doesn't have a lot of emotional charge, something that's just happening on its own, and following it up with something pleasurable, something that gives us a hedonistic tang.
Yeah.
An example with meditation would be, you wake up, that's your neutral habit. Thank God you wake up.
Yeah.
And immediately you go into the kitchen and you meditate for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you choose, standing up. It doesn't even need to be the classic sitting, you're just 3 minutes of meditating, and you follow it up with, I don't know, if it's a coffee that a person likes, they can reward themselves immediately with it, but they can't have the coffee until they do the 3-5 minutes, whatever.
I do that with water. I'm not allowed to have my coffee until I have a glass of water.
Great.
And it totally works. It's totally the reward principle, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is. And it's a wonderful way to trick the dopamine seeking brain.
Right.
And after a while, you won't even need the reward. The habit will, especially after at least 21 days, it will start to build on its own because you will start to see benefits from it.
Right. So what are some of these? So you've talked a lot about the nervous system and bringing in more parasympathetic ways of being through. Is that throughout the day to help you sleep better? Like, what is that? Like, what is that about? And, what are we aiming for? I mean, we're goal-oriented, athletes here. So, like, what does that actually mean to build, structure your day to improve your sleep with these habits? And so now we know how to do it, but what is it?
Exactly. Well, the individual habits will really vary from person to person.
Okay.
I'm not here to prescribe which habits. I can maybe point, shine a light on some potential habits that a person might enjoy, but that's ultimately, it doesn't matter which habits you introduce. But it is important that it is something that helps you grow, whether that's, so with athletes, it's very unlikely that they need exercise. So we might not need to talk about that, but people usually instinctively know what are the elements that are missing in their life, whether it's meditation, healthy eating, doing gratitude journals, doing more acts of self-care. It's very, very individual, or cleaning up messy relationships in their life. That might be something, it's not really a habit, that's a more complex part of the coaching. But for each person, it's going to be very individual. but it is important that through these coaching sessions and through self-reflection that people figure out what are those elements that need to be cleaned up. It's kind of like,
you know what?
reverse.
No one
Yes.
talks about that. That is a reflective that is like, oh dear, here we go. All right. So for all those that are not sleeping, I mean, so perimenopause is a bit, and intimate, postmenopause is a bit challenging because there's the hormone thing.
Yes.
But the hormone thing is related to the stress thing. And the stress thing is related to all the stuff and areas in your life that you need to clean up. So, It is really taking a holistic look at, okay, I understand that there may be some hormonal influences here.
Sure.
But what I can do is investigate and have a deeper look into what is it that I need to clean up. That's kind of big, eh? Oh, man.
It's big, and often it's something that's off-putting to people because, especially with sleep, when we don't get sleep, we get frustrated and we want a quick fix. We want something
we want a hack. We wanted to like come into this interview wanting a hack, but there's no hack for this.
I will give a hack to support those moments when possibly perimenopausal women wake up
right
in the middle of the night due to hot flashes.
Yes.
Right? That's probably a very common thing.
Okay, we will get there. But I really appreciate the, down to earth. This is what you have to do, like really when it comes to the sleep issue. And that's hard to hear because it takes work and it takes introspection and it takes a clearing, and it is absolutely related to your hormones because cortisol, it steals progesterone. It is so related to all of it. And if we're not managing that parasympathetic state, that's not setting our day up.
Absolutely.
So that makes so much sense. Okay. Now you talked about as well the why. And I want to get into that a little bit more as well, because that will help you secure your habit. Or can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
That's perfectly well said. That the knowing your why, knowing the purpose behind the new habits that you want to introduce, is really crucial to making them stick in the long term. Mm-hmm. So maybe I can give you an example of somebody that wants to exercise. They might say that they want to do it because they want to lose weight. And that can be, a full stop, a full sentence, but there's layers here. Often people want to lose weight because, number one, they want to be healthier. If you look deeper, it's because they want to live longer. If you look even deeper, they want to live longer so that they could meet their grandkids, or so that they could be able to pick up their grandkids from the floor without worrying about their back or whatever, or issues,
breaking hips or whatever.
So usually when people dig a bit deeper, there are very existential reasons to why they want to improve their life. And it's not a topic that people go into lightly or easily, because you have to dig deep and find your deeper life motivations. But knowing these are very important, because then they're your signposts to, hey, you do need to get up in the morning. You do need to exercise, eat well, take care of yourself, set boundaries in order to have that life that you want.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you say that. In the work that I do with Team Element is when they first come into the program, we first identify our values, then we identify our goals, and then we identify our whys.
Yes.
And it is absolutely that. It is because it's something that really, it keeps you focused. And if your why changes, then, and it may, although some, practitioners say that it doesn't change, but, we're going to have a little bit more flexibility on it, then your habit may need to change, or what, like it can continuously move and reflect.
Absolutely. There's nothing fixed in this. So a habit can change, your why can change, just as long as you're continuously checking in with yourself, to see if you're on track with yourself. Yeah.
With yourself. So, okay. So the next thing is, I think that what we definitely need is, because that's going to take some time. Like, we're not going to all be sleeping well tonight necessarily, because it's going to take some time to reflection. What is some of that movement practice that you are speaking to? So I know that there are a lot of female athletes that wake up 2 o'clock, 3 a.m. in the morning, and it's so annoying and it's so frustrating. And how do we manage through that in a healthful way or the best way possible?
Sure. So in my practice and in my method, I offer several, I call them rest snacks, because they're very short exercises that people can practice during the day and in the evening and during the night to help bring their nervous system again to a state that's optimal for sleep. Now I can show you one, which is called the main squeeze.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, and it's very simple.
Yeah.
I just want to say that it's going to take, let's say, 4 minutes. Is that
perfect?
Great.
Beautiful. I'm ready for it.
Perfect. And we're in a perfect setting because we don't need anything. We can do this sitting, and it's basically it's an intricate hand position that I will show, and we will be closing the eyes and breathing in a certain way. I'll guide you through it.
Okay.
So, and I just want to say that this is an exercise that people, I know that they will take it now and maybe remember it, but I urge you to practice it in your wakeful state so that it's embedded in your body and that you can easily access it when you wake up in the middle of the night and you don't have to think too much about like, what was that exercise? So that it's really embedded and you know it without thinking too much.
Right. It's just like for athletes, like we learn a new skill. At some point when we race, we don't want to have to think about anything. Exactly. And so that's what we're translating. Okay, I get
exactly.
it. An athlete thinking, yeah.
When you wake up in the middle of the night, you don't want to think about anything. You just want to do whatever is helpful. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So we start off with a funny hand position, which is, hold on, let me see how well you can see it. So you cross one thumb over the other. In my case, it's my left thumb that is on top. And now this thumb that is on top, you will catch it with your right fingers. Exactly. And now extend the index finger of your right hand and catch it with your other fingers. Exactly. And now you can soften your wrists and take this concoction that you just created and place it lightly in your lap in whatever place feels comfortable. And you can close your eyes and take a moment to sense your sitting bones on the seat. If somebody is doing this lying down, just feel the contact of the body with the ground. And take a couple of breaths without changing anything, just to feel the temperature of your skin. And since you're holding the thumb and the index finger, feeling maybe the touch of your own skin on your own skin. And start getting a sense of your breath. Not changing anything, just tracking lightly when your inhale arrives and when the wave of the exhale arrives. And next time that there is an inhale, on your inhale, start gently squeezing the thumb with your fingers. And on an exhale, letting the squeeze go. And keep doing that. On an inhale, squeezing very gently, very lightly the thumb. Letting it go with an exhale. Try to make the squeeze equally long as your inhale. And the letting go equally long as your exhale. Pairing this very gentle movement with your breath. And on your next inhale, you will do the same thing, but with your index finger. So on an inhale, squeezing the index finger. And letting it go on an exhale. Keep going, making the squeeze very light, almost imperceptible. How little of a movement can you make with the squeeze while still staying synced with your breath? And then slowly let go of the attention on your thumb and your index finger, still keeping the eyes closed. Start separating your fingers away from each other very slowly. So slowly that you really feel every finger move apart from each other. And when your fingers are apart, gently rest your hands on your thighs and blink your eyes open. Welcome back.
That was really cool. I can't wait to hear what the listeners say to this. First of all, I loved it. I love the feeling. I love the breath. I love the connection with your skin. I think that there's something really powerful for that. I've never had it, I've done the Headspace app. I've done these things and maybe they've changed it. I don't know, but from when I was doing it, but I loved it that it brought in my physicality because that's how I connect to self. Like if I get stressed, I feel it here. If I'm totally in my body all the time. So I love it that you have brought that to us. I do have like this, I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. If say you wanted a cup of coffee at 3:00 in the afternoon, that tired lull, that feeling of fatigue, and we just feel like we just need to make it through. Does meditation, does this activation of parasympathetic nervous system give you the oxygen you need to get through? Do you know about that, or can you speak to that at all?
Absolutely. So when you have that 3 p.m. slump, I would suggest not to do this type of thing because this falls into the category of down-regulating your nervous system. Right. So it's not exactly that you will go into more of a slump, but it won't help you feel more alive. Right. So you might need, in that sense, instead of going for the coffee, you might want to go for a walk, for a brisk walk, or if doing a meditation or breath practice, then it would have to be a breath practice that involves more inhales.
Okay.
This one was very calming, more focused on an exhale, which is down regulating, but in that case, you need something that's up regulating. And these things can be found, you can find this online, probably on YouTube, many breath work sessions. You can find it amongst my rest snacks as well, more up regulating. But most probably I would not suggest this when you want to be more.
Right. Okay. I think that's important to know because you mentioned earlier that's like, how do you structure your day to improve? And like, can you just clarify for us, when do we actually want to think about bringing in these down regulating, more parasympathetic nervous system stuff? Yeah.
So definitely at the end of the day, when you want to prepare for a good night's rest,
right?
That for sure. But also during the day, when you find yourself slightly stressed or slightly anxious, it's always a good idea to take a couple of moments. So now we did this in 3 minutes. This can be done in 1 minute. It can be done in 10 minutes. But to take just a moment to exactly what you say, have a moment to feel your own touch, to pay attention to your own breath, to take a moment for yourself. And it takes a little bit of work to figure out when those moments are. because more often than not, we start paying attention to our stress response already when it's too high.
Okay.
But with a bit of work, we can all start noticing the signs of stress a bit sooner than we do right now.
So that's a whole other session that we're going to have to talk about.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think I think it's really fascinating. So just to kind of bring it all together in what we've learned here today is, yes, all those sleep hygiene practices are important, and understanding them and applying them into your life. But you've really brought us to coming outside of that and actually doing a critical look at why is it that we do or do not go to bed on time? Why is it that we do, want to take on a habit but don't keep to it? Is it because we're really tapping into our why? And have we really bought into, I think the other thing is like, have you really bought into the understanding yet that sleep is absolutely priority for your health?
Oh.
And if you haven't, then going and reading Matthew Walker's book is a good
Yes.
place to start. I would definitely say that. Or I know that I talk a lot about sleep in my Facebook group as well, and going to you and finding out some of the research would be worthwhile. So one of the things that you give us is a video chapter, actually, of your online course. Can you just share just a little bit with that, with us on what that is and why we need to click on that link?
So I created a pre-recorded online course that has about 4.5 hours of content divided into different topics. So we have things like self-care, setting boundaries, creativity, working with procrastination, all of the topics that you don't think are related to sleep, but actually not. It's kind of like reverse engineering sleep, right? We fix those areas and sleep resolves itself because we're happier humans, better boundaried humans. So my course focuses on that, and it offers also the rest snacks.
Yeah.
But the free chapter that I offer is the very beginning of the course, and it explains what embodiment is. Yeah. How you can track your own embodiment during the day, how you can influence your own embodiment and hence how you perceive the day, and how you can also track your stress response. This is like the core of embodiment work, and it's held in one video chapter.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm serious looking forward to doing it and looking through it, because I think there's a lot to learn here and to take in for us all. So click on the link. Can we get to your rapid fire questions?
Yeah,
I've got some questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. The first one is, give us one moment of courage.
I think my moment of courage in these last years has been going fully self-employed as a coach, letting go of a very, very lucrative and safe job to go chase my passions.
It's huge. It's huge, isn't it? And so rewarding. I get it. I totally get it. Yes. Tell us one thing that you're curious about right now.
Lately, I'm very curious about attachment styles in relationships. So that's something I've been studying lately, and I've been experimenting in my own life. So that's something that I'm curious about.
I have never even, I know about child attachment, but I think you're talking about like as we go through life and how that shows up.
Yes, it has to do with child attachment, but we also carry it into our adult relationships, and I find it fascinating.
Oh, I bet it is. Oh my goodness. Okay. And what is one thing you're grateful for right now?
I am very grateful for my healthy and strong body that allows me to play every day and allows me to interact with wonderful humans like yourself.
Oh, so fun. I love it that you said play. It's just this idea of play, and do we have enough of it is just really speaking to me right now. So how perfect. I'm going to give you the last word. Is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with?
I always like to end with the catchphrase of my work, which is, good sleep starts the moment you wake up. So start paying attention to how you structure your day and how you play in your day. And is it optimal for your health? And that's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.